Hi friends. I wanted to start today with a special shout out to my biggest supporter, the woman who raised me, my mother. She is going through it right now, and if you're lucky enough to have a mother still out there, let her know you're thinking about her. Anyway, she loves this stuff, so I gotta keep doing it. Love you, Mom. Alright, here's some X-Men toys. No, this is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series Marvel Studios X-Men 97 Wave 2 action figures, set of 6. They're all looking sharp and they're retro styled, except new for this series is in these cards aren't really aping anything except this blister style. They've all got a nice little piece of artwork on the side there, and you'll get a product shot on the back. Otherwise, they're not too distinct, not too unique, but they are made to fit perfectly with the last series. Look at that. Ooh, how about all three of them? Little awkward, right? But if you look right up front, most characters are featuring extra head portraits and extra hands. I do love that. Now that might be a little awkward. This fancy updated Nightcrawler, it has been some years. He is looking beautiful. Possibly my mom's favorite character. Anyway, let's tear into these.
You're rushing, honey. You're gonna choke.
Oh, that lusty out-of-package tease. And these are some A-listers in this wave, too. I mean, we got the legendary Scott Summers and Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, Magneto, a clone of one of them. And I'd say x-cutioner's not a big deal, except we don't have a figure of him, so it is. And don't forget little baby Nate. How dare you put him in danger like this?
So, we'll look at what's new compared to the old, but I won't go too crazy on the articulation.
Checking out Scott Summers, also known as Cyclops. He is the X-Men's blue team leader, one of the original 5, and he has the ability to absorb solar energy and release it as concussive force blasts out of his eyes. So he wears, a fancy visor. Anyway, this is a really nice looking figure. The head sculpt is brand new. He comes with another one. It's well executed. It's just a little... It's not my favorite head sculpt. You get the nice shine on the visor, though. The red looks pretty clean. This is off of that, the VHS style, the Vulcan style body they did on the VHS release. That looks just like this. It's the same figure with a different head and that cell shading. A lot of people were mad about the cell shading, but these were more like lateral releases, only sold as certain store exclusives. You didn't necessarily have to buy these. You kind of got the idea that when they had this body, they would release a clean one at some point. And they have. And it even comes with a power effect. Same complement of hands as that old one. And in fact, the same colors of blue and yellow, essentially. As ever, I like that this is sculpted onto this torso. That's fantastic. You get decent range on him. He's got all the new hotness with the pinless double joints, Vulcan thing happening. You get these little cuts in the glove, the nature of the sculpt. Okay, I'm a little forgiving there, but that is a gripe. They could avoid that. The Magneto figure has a very similar sculpt. The muscle is softer, but that line isn't there. Also, of course, the straps are in the wrong place. They should be in the lower quadrant of the leg, but I get it. They wanted to slip that in and make that work with the thigh cut. However, the female figures in the strike team uniform, they do have it in the lower quadrant. So what the hell? You know what I mean? But all that griping aside, I mean, this is the best Cyclops action figure you can get from the Marvel Legends line. Again, the head sculpt is a little bit funny. But he does come with this other aggressive one here with a slot for a blast effect. And it's a similar thing. It's well executed, but they're not my favorite. They're almost, cartoony isn't the right word. It's almost like wacky, some kind of Looney Tunes thing. The blast effect is great. We have seen this before, though. It's the one they've been recycling. But it is nice to have something. The last release just came with the hands. Same complement of hands here. You get fists, you get a couple of open hands, and you get the visor blasting hand. But if we go all the way back to the 2017 release here from the Warlock Build-A-Figure wave where the yellow was orange, you can see they've also got the shiny visor, a little shine around the badge there. And it's the same damn hand they've been giving us. If you look at the sculpt real close, this one's it's a little bit softer, but I mean, this thing is trash all day now by comparison. It's just on this really outmoded body sculpt. That head is nice, though. That head sculpt is nice. Weird thing that they did on here, though, is they added the little black lines on the ends of the X's. I think that's an odd choice because you didn't panel line the rest of it. You know what I mean? If you did little black lines on other parts of the the uniformment of the straps, that would make more sense. But otherwise, that just kind of sticks out. They were just playing to somebody's OCD. Anyway, you've seen this style of articulation. It works great. The legs will come out to the sides. They'll kick forward. You get a thigh cut. You get a calf cut because they've hidden them strategically here. You get the nice, clean, pinless look. As far as the arms, you know, some of these joints can be really stiff. These go up pretty nice. This shoulder in particular was really, really tight. I hit that with a little bit of oil because otherwise that wouldn't move in and out like that. And the issue here is you have to be really careful not putting pressure on this little peg. So I would recommend a little oil or something. Heat, water will break it free, but the nature of the heavy plastic on plastic friction means that if one is just tight like that, it's just gonna be, you know, so. Otherwise, though, I'm really happy with this Cyclops figure, especially if you don't have like all of them like I do. He's a really great addition. Jean Grey is also one of the original X-Men. She is an incredibly powerful telepath and telekinetic, and briefly went by the codename Marvel Girl. Overall, it's a pretty clean looking figure. It is an update, a slight tweak on that classic 90s design. Here is the cel-shaded version just to compare just the costumes there. They've done some updating, some tweaking. Overall, the body is 100 times better. This is just a bunch of floppy junk. This is the one where the leg joints, the knees are like put together with a fruit snack, man. That's crazy. So this is just right off the top. I will say this is a much sturdier figure. You don't have any of that. It feels really nice in hand, and you get the pinless double joint thing going on. Biggest gripe, though, is they have stripped the torso piece down to just this one solid chunk. It is ball socketed in, so you get more than just a little twist. You get some pivot, some crunch, too. That's okay. That's okay. And that's how they did us on the House of X gene, too. The torso is a single piece. We see that more and more. They're taking articulation away. I hate to see it, but in the context of everything else with this figure, it is overall, I think, a really nice upgrade. The colors and the paint hits are nice and clean. And the head sculpts especially, they look really good. I mean, leagues better than any of the other ones. You get this little ponytail one here. And she also comes with a hair down. Just the level of detail on the eyes and everything else. It's really nice. Also, the ponytail on this one is separate, so that will move around. So you can add a little bit of dynamic flair there. For how limited the torso articulation is, I mean, you get some really nice posing. These little shoulder pieces are soft and they will flop out of the way. They're like attached to the torso, it looks like. And so are these. These are sculpted on. No more are they using the same floppy pieces they've been recycling for like a decade. See, this is the last one again, and it's got the extra torso articulation, but she's terrible to stand, and it's these old floppy reused parts that were just not very good the first go around. And then, you know, the head sculpts, they're not the worst, but they look kind of bulbous and silly by comparison. They are interchangeable, by the by. And then, you know, here's the last comic book release, Jean. Same figure as that one, just without the cel shading flourishes. Accessories, again, she comes with the extra head, and these swap pretty easily. And then, you know, she comes with extra hands, these splayed female hands, how they do. It's funny because she's got one closed fist and then one that's just open. It's just the fingers aren't spread, you know. You know, no power effect for Jean. They never hook us up like that. But I do honestly, if you can deal with the costume being different, I do think this is a really nice, sturdy feeling Jean Grey figure. They've been doing her dirty for years. I would love to see an updated Phoenix. This is another terrible healed one. It doesn't really stand. And then, yeah, don't even look at this original release from like 2012. This poor thing. This is just sad. And they kept reusing these pieces again and again. So, yeah, would recommend. All right, this is Kurt Wagner, the incredible Nightcrawler, one of the all-new X-Men from the 1970s. He is a furry, blue-skinned teleporter with a prehensile tail and quite possibly my favorite figure in this wave. I love the character of Nightcrawler, and this is just such a fantastic update. It looks as though the whole thing has been redone. For certain, the arms and legs, but even on the torso, you look close at little bits here and there, and the musculature seems a little different. The size seems a little different. They're perhaps working off the same thing, but it's an older mold now. I don't know. The tail is the exact same, not bendy, but it does twist around, and depending on where you land with that, You get some good personality bits there. But he just looks so freaking clean. Comes with 2 new head sculpts. And there I was thinking, you know, I'm a big fan of the head sculpts from the last release, and I am. But these are really, really nice. Very much, I love the way they've gotten the shadow around the eyes. The only thing that's really different, it's the big hair, the big bangs here that he sort of had circa like the 2010s onward. So it's not that weird, man. I think this looks really, really good. Look at that extra color in there, nice pointy ears. The red is so vibrant, and the way that it sits on the black like that. I always love this setup. This go around, the gloves and boots are both sculpted. You can see the line work there. And the paint is pretty sharp. It doesn't always necessarily stay exactly on the line, but you can't tell unless you get right up in there. It is very well articulated. It's Nightcrawler, you know, it's got to be. He's got the little butterfly shoulders in there, and so they'll come forward a bit and back a bit. He's got this, he's got an ab crunch and a waist twist, you know, old school, but they are working off this old design. It works really well. The head is on a hinge. It'll come back, you know, forward. That hair swooping like that gives it a little bit of extra, you know. Legs are in good shape here. They'll come way out to the sides. They bend all around. He's got the 3-toe thing going on here. I mean, if you look really closely at the stuff, like with the old one, he is right here. Just very subtle, very small differences in the sculpt. But it is a new figure. But there's nothing wrong with this guy. He's old school. He's got the visible pins. And just different styles of head. So how I am, it's more complimentary to get all these versions of these characters, you know. You add another one and it comes with more parts and they're all interchangeable. We're all having a great time. So the new version comes with this other head sculpt. We'll just go ahead and swap that on here. And these all swap pretty easily. This is Hasbro we're dealing with. You're probably going to have about the best time swapping parts with their just the way they do that. Their plastic, whatever it is, man. And that's really nice. Nice little stern face. And then he also comes with a pair of little 3-fingered closed fists. Nicely sculpted. We did not see those on the last go-around. Also, weirdly, this hand is new. On the original, these are sort of mirrored versions of each other. But on this one, they've like sculpted another one that hangs a little limp there. So an extra head and a couple of hands, I dig it. Nightcrawler is not someone who's famed for a bunch of accessories. I think he could carry like a deluxe pack though with teleporting, bamfing accessories, big purple clouds, that would be awesome. Now the old release came with a couple of different heads. And again, they are all interchangeable. And these are some great head sculpts. It all sort of depends on the era, the artist you're looking for. Biggest point of contention for some, though, the old release comes with a sword, the new one does not. So he also doesn't have the hand to grip a sword in case if you wanted to grab one anyway, because we have seen that sword released a few other times with a few other characters. So you might have some extra laying around. The thing is, I don't believe that every release of the character needs to come with the same stuff. It can be complementary. If it's like core to his character, okay, and he is known as a swashbuckling fool, but in fact, vast majority of the time, he's not going to have a sword. So, you know, a teleporter can grab anything he wants. Now this is Magneto. We're not going to dead name him. He is the mutant master of magnetism, capable of manipulating Earth's magnetic field in all manner of metal. This is a bold choice for a figure and a throwback to a 1980s look for him, but apparently also his new look on the new cartoon. So that's interesting. It is a really solid, clean figure. What a bizarre choice here with these gloves and everything. Who would dress like this, just out of context, in this light purple cape with the little scarf thing around the... It is a simple design here, but it looks really clean. This will just come right off of there, and you can get right to the root of this body with this really nice head sculpt, in fact. Look at that. Simple, clean design here. He's on a variation of the Vulcan buck again, so he's got the butterflies, and they seem to work fine. Shoulder joints, they come up. You get the bicep cut here. Knees and elbows are going to be pinless double joints. See that, and you see that, and you can see, you know, plastic friction. They can be a little bit stiff, but it's not too bad. This is essentially the best of the best in their new articulation game, and it's really nice. It's really nice, especially he cuts a nice figure for Magneto here, a big imposing badass. Even though he's wearing these long purple gloves, like he's going to a cotillion or something. Big ol' M on the front of his shirt, on his skin-tight, sleeveless shirt, so you know what's up. Otherwise, really simple figure. Cape does have a little peg high up there. It's a fairly soft material. And we don't really have another version of him like this to compare it to. We do have the last animated series release, though. And side by side, you know, just different versions of the character. You can see this last one is a little bit shorter, but it's, you know, it's not much. They're both nice, clean, pinless versions of the Master of Magnetism. For fun, too. You can swap heads, not just on these Magnetos, but on one of the Xavier School uniforms to create, like, Joseph. And that looks really good. This is his alternate head. He comes with the two. Honestly, for, like, the ultimate 80s throwback, they should have given us that ugly little, like, short hair thing so that we could replicate that a little bit better. On top of the additional head, he comes with a couple of open hands, but no power effects. Go ahead and open up your drawer and choose any color you want of them. Little glowy, spirally things. I'm always looking for more, but most of these characters, I mean, they came with alternate head portraits, couple of hands. That I'm really forgiving for that, man. The head portraits are money. This is a really solid release, but if you're not into this look, you know what I mean? It's not gonna, what does it matter? All right, Madelyne Pryor, the Goblin Queen. Quick story. Scott Summers, Jean Grey, they were an item for a long time in the comics, right? Well, Jean apparently dies, and Scotty's heartbroken, but he meets another girl that looks exactly like her. Well, he doesn't want to waste any time, so he marries and has a kid with this girl. But then Jean comes back. Turns out she wasn't dead. Also turns out his new wife is actually a clone of Jean Grey. Well, Madelyne finds out the score, and that pushes her over the edge, and she sells out the Earth Realm to frickin' demons. This is an updated version of the character and an updated look, as the original is just like a tattered loincloth and stuff she's wearing. She's deranged. This is her a little later on, perhaps, you know, recomposed herself a little bit. Look at that head sculpt, though. That looks really nice. Spitting image of, like, an evil Jean Grey. And we have not yet gotten this figure in the line, so this is cool to have this character, especially with the updated double-jointed pinless tech going on here. Don't look, though, we have these heeled boots she's wearing, which is, you know, to complete the look, you've gotta, but man, does that make it hard to stand. They have, however, given us this thigh cut, which does really help. Otherwise, just checking out the articulation, too. You get good range on those legs, and these things will fold all the way in half. You get that little bit there and the rock on these. And again, it's you need everything you can get here to try to get her to stand. You know, it's just gonna be one of those. But what, do you want the Goblin Queen or not? She does have a point of torso articulation. You get some good movement there. And you know, these arms, they will come way up. They're not really restricted by any of this because of the way that cape hangs out of the way. Cape does look appropriately evil and draping with the red inside. I like that. And there's a little peg way up there to keep it in place. Bear with me while I get her to stand. Anyway, for accessories, she comes with a couple of closed fists. They have that end of the glove detailed over there. And in fact, a couple of these hands she shares with Jean Grey. That's fitting. Comes with a couple of these power effects that we've seen before, but not in this color. I do like that green. And, wait for it, she comes with little Nathan Christopher Summers. It's this same little slug baby we've seen a couple times before, but it's got little X details on the blanket, and, you know, it's painted really nicely. Painted really nicely. Y'all know who he grows up to be, right? The Wild Man of Borneo. Alright, last and more or less least, it is the mutant hunting hater known as X-cutioner. Seriously, that's how they spell it. So they're not called, it's not pronounced X-Men, right? So you can't say executioner, because you can't say X-Men. So it's X-Men, it's X-cutioner. Okay, so we're all on the same page. This guy's primarily just existed in the 90s. He's a former CIA psycho who's got a thing for punishing mutants. We can see by his belt here, Friends of Humanity. He may be in league with those guys then on the cartoon, which he is likely to be in, as in the packaging. I mean, he had some scrapes with the X-Men in the 90s, Gambit, Bishop, I think, you know. But otherwise didn't really make it out of there, so that's kind of fun that they're going to pick up and run with this character a little bit. The design of this figure is really neat. You know, he's got all this extra, this little thing hanging over here, this coat that's really just two pieces. The upper torso is separate. It's the belt kind of hiding all this, but if you rock that back, you can see that none of that is connected. So you get decent range, even though this upper piece is just a solid unit. But he's going to have, you know, pinless, double-jointed arms and legs, even though they're kind of hidden under this thing. They do work really well. Things of that nature. This head is a unique thing, as it's just this, you know, knob that rocks around in there. And he comes with several weapons that peg together and onto his back there. He's got this rifle and the Shi'ar power lance. And his thing is kind of having, you know, alien and anti-mutant tech to throw down. I think this is probably, you know, adapted from a Sentinel. This little blaster that doesn't have, you just slip it over an arm. It's kind of chintzy, but, you know, depending, you have imposed, it's fine. It's great. It's Mega Man. And again, this character has not been done in figure form before, so that is cool. There is a lot to like here. For me, I don't have any great attachment to this character. He just popped up in the books when I was a kid a couple of times, you know. And the overly edgy spelling, come on. But it does look like they've got a place for him in the new cartoon, so probably the most unique figure in the wave. And I think it works pretty well. Not even mad. All right, checking out the relative scale. These guys are doing it pretty much better than anybody. Jean Grey has been cut down to size a little bit, but she's like 5'6" to Scott's 6'3". So this is for the first time. It's like fully appropriate. Kurt over here is like 5'9", you know, little taller, got some hair, looking good. Eric here is like 6'2". You know, Kurt might be standing a little in the foreground compared to him, but you know, I'll accept that. Maddie is, of course, a clone of her. Look, she's got heels. This guy, who cares? Throw this in here in a relative. Somebody's got to get out of the way. Each of you, tell me why you deserve to stay in Hell's Kitchen. Sorry, Maddie. The Hasbro Marvel Legends series is a rated 1/12 scale, but we all know it runs a little bit over. And here they are next to the rest of the unique characters from the same series. Love the way they scale from the 5'3" Wolverine to the 6'6" Bishop. 5'8" Rogue here, 5'11" Storm. They're looking good. These are looking really good. You know what? It's always a good day when there's new X-Men action figures. 6 new ones. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, wait a minute. Get out of here, creep. Anyway, this is a really solid roster of characters. Some big name X-Men, though we do have versions of these and some very similar ones. These are all very, very nice upgrades. And you know what? A look for Magneto that we haven't seen yet. Bit of a crazy one, but he's solid. These are really, really well done figures. She's, you know, more solid than the other ones, but that doesn't mean that's perfect. Couple of new characters, and you know what? I always love a version of Cable. So. The X-cutioner figure, a lot of unique tooling. That's cool that they went there. Maybe that means he's got something of a big role on the show, or they just kind of went out, took the opportunity to give a little extra there. I don't know. Where are we going to see those boots pop up again? These are all really solid releases. Not a ton of accessories, but most of them have extra head portraits, and they're easy recommendations for me, especially if you don't have any version of some of these characters. Otherwise, yeah, throw that word need in there. You could probably leave a few of these on the shelf if you've got some already. Anyway, we've talked about this long enough. You guys know what's up. I really appreciate everyone being here. And go spend some time with your family or something, though.